back at it, and this time I am also one of the interviewers, but we have also got another a spectacular interviewer. We've got Ray Dolan here, and we are here with the Jazz History Database Virtual Museum MQP. So very excited to get started talking with y'all about that. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Nicolas Fish.
I'm Higgins.
Rad. Want to get right into it then? Get right into the meat and potatoes. All right. What were y'all's roles on the project?
I was a programmer for the project. The application is a virtual experience, so played in VR, and we're using Unreal 5 to play around with different objects and play records on a turntable.
I was the 3D artist. I made a lot of 3D models with. I made every 3D model with Blender because it's free to install on your laptop, and I also use Substance Painter and 3ds Max for creating animation for like idle animations. So yeah, that was my role.
Cool. So Unreal Engine 5, can you tell me a little about what it was like to work with the cutting edge of game engines?
Yeah, so it was pretty fun to kind of jump right into that. We started the project a couple months after Unreal 5 released for early access. So there wasn't too much support for that time, and there's still a lot of bugs that we eventually ran into that really slowed down the development. But we're super happy with kind of the lighting as well as their GPU light mask system in terms of rendering lighting really quickly. We were also utilizing their OpenXR plugin, which was super helpful for developing on multiple headsets. So we developed the app for the Oculus Quest 2, but for our PAX showcase, we displayed it on the Samsung head-mounted display. And all that was needed to change was just the orientation of the hands because the controllers are different.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And you mentioned, you're working with VR on this, you're working with multiple headsets. What were some advantages of having this be a VR experience?
Jazz, well, for one thing, this was for the Jazz History Database at WPI. And of course, apparently only 1.4% of the US population actually listens to jazz. So a lot of the formats that these songs and interviews are preserved on are pretty outdated. They're actually pretty difficult to preserve. So with virtual reality, it becomes a lot easier to preserve these songs and interviews because it's a more modern technology that is more readily available, such as rather than a VHS tape. So
yeah, additionally, there's also a lot of immersion that's applied to VR. And whereas if you're trying to interact with a record player on a computer, if you're using a mouse and keyboard, you don't quite get the same experience as being able to actually pick up a vinyl and place it on a turntable. And using VR really allows us to take advantage of that physicality that's involved with playing things like that.
Totally. Awesome. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the VR environment. What kind of mood were you trying to convey?
We were trying to go for a welcoming, almost safe haven-like environment. Of course, we used the Jazz Age as inspiration, but more specifically, we used prohibition because alcohol was banned in the 1920s. So, but the Jazz Age basically used songs about the protesting the alcohol ban in order to popularize it. So because of that, we decided to go for warm, safe tones. We used a warm color palette to make the environment inviting and almost make it feel safe, cozy. Maybe not cozy, but safe. And it was essentially we were trying to go for a safe haven from the law, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you go, right?
I was just gonna say, I definitely think that the lighting helped with that a lot. It was very like soft, nice, relaxing lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to stick to warm colors, like to give it a warm feeling.
Yeah, very, very much so. I feel like you really accomplished that. It was a lovely little environment to be in. So you mentioned about the songs, that not so many people in the U.S. listen to jazz. You mentioned that there are these jazz songs written about the Prohibition era. How did you go about selecting the tracks that were used in this experience?
Yeah, we left that up to Benjamin Young. At least was our sponsor at the JHDB.
Yeah, these were songs that the JHDB has specifically preserved. Like it's in their database, it's in their archives. Sorry, database preserved.
No, it's okay. And so we just kind of asked him, it's like, hey, what kind of songs would you like to throw in the space? And we selected out a few pieces that he thought would best showcase kind of what the JHDB has to offer. So it includes a couple songs and some different interviews.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So with this project, do you seek to distribute it at all or make it available at a certain place? What's your plan with that?
Yeah, so at this point in time, because it's still using Unreal 5 early access, the current build is not very stable. And so it still takes a lot of finicking and tweaking to really get the application running properly. And so at this point in time, we would not be distributing this. It's just we can showcase it here at Showfest. However, we would like to see at least another iteration of this project at WPI as another MQP, perhaps, to really get it into a ready state to share and take advantage of Unreal 5 now that it's officially released.
Sweet.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that actually kind of leads into another question, which is, given more time or, given another iteration of this project as an MQP, how would you expand this project, if at all?
We try to maybe provide some more written historical information, or at least I think that's what we would add to the Virtual Museum. We have photographs, but we don't have descriptions of those photographs, so we don't provide descriptions about who's in these pictures. And we have the names of the songs like on the folders of the vinyl discs, but yeah, we also have, again, like we could provide some more historical information, since this is supposed to be essentially a different kind of history museum. And we also have a guitar that could actually play sound. Right now it's a prop to sort of add to the element of both. There's both recorded and live music here, or at least there was. And officially rigging it so that it can play sound waves from the strings. That'd be really nice.
Would love to have a whole VR jazz band going. That would be a blast.
Well, so what were some of your biggest challenges while working on the project? I know you mentioned instability with Unreal and lack of support. Is there anything else?
I think honestly that was the biggest milestone, is running into problems in Unreal where you find a forum that's like, oh yeah, this is just unknown issue, we're not going to solve this right now. And so that was really a space where we kind of had to pivot and really scope down the project.
I think there were times when our communication could have been a bit better, and also there were issues with Unreal Engine 5 it just goes back to Unreal Engine. About making sure that all the models were there, making sure the pivots were accurate, those kinds of little steps that are easy to skip, but if you were wrong to skip them, it can take up time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I think we'll be approaching time soon. To kind of round it out, what are you both the most proud of on this project? No pressure.
I am proud that I was able to do as much as I did. I didn't think that I'd be able to, when this project first started, I didn't think that I'd be able to make the props that I did. I made the guitar, I made the microphone, I made the picture frames, and like at the beginning of this year, I didn't think I was able to do that, and I realized that I could. So being pushed, that was a really, it turned out to be a really good thing.
And for me, it's just the little things that you get working is what makes it all worth it. So the small interactions where you're actually seeing the Oculus hands open and close subtly, and being able to interact with the turntable itself and things like that. That's really what I'm proud of, is the small things.
Yeah, and the final project looks awesome, and it's a lot of fun to interact with. So you guys did a great job. Alrighty, so I think we will get a host to play us out. Also, Kate, I think you're muted.
Yes, sorry, I was hardware muted. Don't mind me. Yeah, it looks great. Like, great job, y'all. Very excited to talk. Very pleased that we got to talk to y'all about it. And I think we'll cut to the be back in a moment screen. And thanks so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.